What's going on? Welcome back to the Show Me Kayak Fishing Podcast. This week we've got the winners of the All American Kayak Classic. Pretty exciting one here. It's one of the two biggest events that we get in the state of Missouri, and we've got the top three places here with us today. And so we'll kind of jump right into it. We'll start with third place. No stranger to you guys. He was on the episode that we did a couple weeks ago. That would be Mr. Chad Davison. He fished for Moyak and he ended up in third place with 152 and 3/4 inches over both days. 76 and 3/4 inches on day one, 76 inches on day two. Pretty consistent there across both days. So why don't you tell us how that went for you, Chad?
Well, obviously the bite was super tough. And for anybody that wasn't there, most of Truman Lake we had a lot of recent rains. The lake had risen. I think it was around 10 feet high. And about all but like a couple very specific areas was very dirty water. And there was a lot of debris. It was in the bushes. And the bite was generally pretty tough. The tournament had cold mornings, and I feel like the bite suffered because of the really cold nights and the dirty water. The fish were scattered out, and we had a full moon, so the fish were, I felt like there was still like a wave that was wanting to spawn, but the conditions are not ideal. And anyway, so I was kind of like targeting obviously shallow fish and areas that I thought they might be spawning primarily. I have a lot of history on Truman. I fished that lake in tournaments for about 30 years now. And I had some areas that I have a lot of confidence in this time of the year in pretty much these same conditions. And it seems like when we've had this tournament the last few years, it's been kind of similar where the lake is coming up right before our tournament. And so I just kind of went back to areas that I caught them before. And in practice, I tried to cover a lot of water. And I found one or two specific, like I call them kind of like spawning coves off the main lake that I was getting some bites. And actually on Friday, the bite was pretty good for me. I was throwing mostly like a wacky rig, or not a wacky rig, just a regular weightless Texas rig. I throw a General a lot, but basically soft stick bait. And I was just pitching it around shallow. And I wasn't setting the hook on most of them. I did hook a couple, and they were decent size, 15, 16 inches. And a lot of them were hanging on to it. Like I couldn't get them to let go of it. So like the day before the tournament, it seemed like the bite was pretty aggressive. But then for whatever reason on tournament day, it got super tough for me. At like I think around 1:30 or whatever, with like an hour left in the tournament, whatever time that was, I started heading back towards the ramp, and I only had 3 fish for like 40 inches. And I just happened to kind of end up on a main lake point not far from where I launched. And the afternoon had warmed up. The wind was blowing into this point. They were generating water, and I think there was some current across the point, and I could see bait fish flickering around. And I picked up a chatterbait and immediately started catching some like really small fish. Like we had to have 12 inchers in this tournament, and I was catching like 9 and 10 inchers. But then I caught like a 15 something, and then that kind of got me fired up. And I literally only had like 15 minutes left. And then I caught I want to say it was a 17 3/4 or something like that, with maybe less than 10 minutes left. And then like it was the last minute I hooked into another 15 and basically flipped it in the boat and just threw it on the board and started taking pictures as fast as I could. I'm pretty sure I only had like maybe like 20 seconds left before lines out. So I mean, right at the end, I had three good ones, at least good ones for this tournament. So I was just really fortunate to stay in it for day two. And then day two, my buddy Tyler Alexander, we were several of us were all staying together. We were staying at Jared Fosno's house in Clinton, and we all kind of keep stuff kind of close to the vest, but we do kind of talk, and he was fishing with his daughter, and he was talking to her about her catching a good one on this fluke, and it's a fluke that I've thrown before, but I didn't bring them. And I was like, man, I wish I had brought those. And he's like, well, I brought like 5 packs. He goes, I'll give you one. So he gave me a pack of them. And on day two, I pitched that weightless fluke around that same area that I fished the day before. And I caught every fish that I caught on day two on that fluke. And I was fishing it extremely slow. Just I'd pitch it up right to the edge of the bank, and then I would just kind of pop it a couple times and let it fall down. And usually I never felt the bite. I just pick it up and there'd be a fish on there. And but the bite did seem to get a little bit better day two. I caught them all in that fluke, and I tried to go back to that point right at the end where I caught the 3 on day one, and I didn't catch anything there. So it was just kind of like a timing deal that I had just hit it just right on day one. But yeah, overall, really tough tournament. I felt fortunate to catch the fish that I did. I've had 2 thirds and a second, and it's kind of frustrating to like not be able to win, but also at the same time, I think I've fished this 5 times, and I've gotten a check 4 of the 5 times. So it's been a really good tournament for me. I always enjoy it, and usually it's tough, and I seem to do good in the grinders. So
Absolutely. It now you had said that you were tossing around like a general in practice. Was that the same deal that you were throwing day one of the tournament? That
yeah,
the
I
stick bait?
started off like and I experimented some. I tried different things. I can't remember actually. I think I might have caught one on a lizard. I Texas rigged a lizard and was pitching that around. And I think I might have caught one of the 3 that had me at 40 inches. I mean, it was probably like a 12-incher or whatever. But anyway, I did catch one on a lizard, and mainly I was trying to throw around the general, and everything I did was like slow. It wasn't until I picked up that chatterbait. I was just fishing like soft plastics really slow. And there was another guy in my area from Nebraska, and he told me he and I were just kind of rotating fishing the same areas on day one, and he told me he lost 2 good ones, and so that's one of the reasons that I went back there on day two, because I had some good bites there in practice, and even though I didn't really catch them in there on day one, and the fact that he had lost a couple good ones, and I mean I did catch a 15, and I had a couple bites that like they just weren't eating it, and so I didn't really have anywhere else to go for one thing, and also had the confidence that there was some good fish around, and he told me, and he didn't end up going back there on day two, so I had the whole area to myself instead of sharing it with him. So I think that probably helped it out some too.
Yeah, yeah. So whenever you switch to the fluke and go back there on day two, do you think that the bait change made a difference? Do you think they got used to the smell in practice, or do you think it was a conditions thing to make that work again day two?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think the bite was a little bit better on day two. I mean, it could have just been for me, but um, the bite felt a little bit more consistent to me. And I was kind of getting an idea like where they were at. Like they were in the backs, like towards the backs of the pockets, and they were like I could almost like um I started to learn like where I was getting the bites by the type of grass, the way there was like that, I don't know what is, it's like a brown wheat looking grass. And if there was like bushes, but there was only like one row of bushes, Like you didn't want bushes like way deep where you had like uh 10 feet of bushes to the bank. You wanted where there was like bushes in the water, but only like one row of bushes. And that brown, whatever that brown weedy grass was, that was the kind of bank that I was getting bites on. So I started to just key in on that. And then there was this one little secondary point in the back of a pocket that I caught two of my better fish on day two. Um, I don't know if it was, I think the bait was working. Little bit bigger profile. It's kind of like I was still throwing it weightless like a general, but so it was falling slowly, but it had a bigger profile and it was white. And the general I was throwing was June bug. So I don't know if I like sunny conditions and maybe it showed up a little better. I don't honestly don't know what it was, but um, you know, once I caught the first fish on it, I had confidence in it and I just stuck with it all day. I think I only caught maybe 6 or 7 fish. So I wasn't getting, I mean, all day I wasn't getting a lot of bites, but I did catch some decent ones. So
Yeah. And was that the story, the same deal on day one? Did you not get very many bites even from shorts on day one as well?
yeah, I mean, I only had the three. I wasn't catching any like dinks on day one until at the end when I started throwing the chatterbait. Like my first few were 9 or 10 inchers, and I was like, I was trying to just get five at that point. So I was really like every time I caught one that was like 10 inches, I was like, dang it. And I was running out of time. But luckily I got into a few good ones. But yeah,
Yeah.
not many bites either day.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here for me, but uh I yeah. So coming into this tournament, did you have any clue that 153 inches would be enough for a podium finish for you?
Uh, I mean, honestly, I didn't really think about it. Um, you know, the mental thing is so like important, but I feel like I do the best when I'm just fishing very like where I'm not worried too much about anything, where I'm just kind of enjoying being out there and like just be in the moment. I didn't really, you can't plan on having a podium finish. I mean, I've had three in this event and I've never planned on any of them. I never felt like I was on the bite for that. You just kind of go out and just try and be in the moment. And I'm a pretty intense angler when I'm out there. Like I fish hard. I'm very focused. I don't have any trouble fishing slow and methodically if I'm getting a bite every hour or hour and a half. If I can just get a bite, then or I'd say get a bite. I mean, catch a decent fish, every hour and a half. I can stay focused. But I'm not really thinking about, I'm just trying to catch as much as I can. And um I had no idea what it would take. I mean, some people, the Pommy was kind of like the popular area, it seemed like, because it had one of the few areas of cleaner water in the lake. And I mean, I've heard the stories about like there being like 40 people up there on day one at one boat ramp, and it's not even really a boat ramp, but it's just a launch. But I like that area. I fished that area a lot, but I wasn't going to go up there with all those people. The area I fished, I mean, there was a handful that launched at my ramp, but on day two, for example, I never saw anybody else all day where I was fishing. There was never another kayaker. There was a couple like crappie boats, but I had it to myself and there wasn't anybody else there. So I kind of, that's kind of the how I prefer, but I will fish in a crowd if I have to, but I didn't want to deal with all that up the Pommy. But I heard about guys catching some good fish up there. I think there was just so many people up there that they were probably all just sharing fish. So um, somebody could have put up a big bag, but um, it turned out to kind of be a grinder. And obviously Kolt, he did put up some pretty good fish. So, but um, yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't think that deep into it.
I gotcha. Yeah, I always try to guess on that, and I know me and Adrian always do that before a tournament, try to guess what it's going to take to win, even if we're not fishing it. But and I didn't think that 153 would be enough until I got there and started fishing, and then I figured it might be because I struggled certainly. But Chad, you said something about day two being a little bit better bite for you, and I think Tyler would agree with you. Uh, we're gonna go ahead and move on here to Tyler, and you're gonna have to tell me how to say your last name. I'm sorry. Um,
Zengerle.
Zengerle.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Tyler Zengerle fished for the Natural State Kayak Anglers, got second place with 158 and 3/4 inches over 2 days. 73 and a quarter inches on day one, and you had 85 and a half inches on day two. And I went through and I looked, and as far as I can tell, that's the best single day out of anybody through the whole tournament. You had the second place to that was Colt Volker, our winner. He had 85 and a quarter inch day, I believe, day one. So why don't you tell us about how your event went and how what happened on day two?
Sure. Yeah. So to start, I mean, I came in Wednesday night. I think I've fished this lake probably 5 times before, same as Chad. This might have been my fifth. Normally get 2 days of pre-fishing. In this case, I came in on Wednesday and I committed to work. So I worked remote from the Airbnb, just listening to guys in my house talk about how tough it was. So just kind of using, what they were saying. I was like, this normally I'm a grinder as well. So normally these types of tournaments I felt pretty good about, even though I didn't know anything really about the lake. Day one, I typically, like historically, I go to the same ramp every year. Before the tournament, Josh said that, my normal ramp was closed, or at least the road down to it. So I had to figure out on maps like where this is the closest ramp, and if like enough about Truman on one of the north sides of the lake, there's hardly any ramps over there. So I had to pick a ramp that was about 2 miles away. Sorry if you can hear my kid. I had to pick a ramp about 2 miles away, which took all my 30 minutes in the morning till Lines End to get there. When I got there, I think I saw Micah Funderburg. We typically find each other on the water somewhere. And then I just started fishing a jig, fishing a wacky worm. I probably caught 3 fish in the first, I don't know, 30 minutes or an hour. And I didn't catch my limit until about 11 or 11:30. It was pretty tough. The bites were slow. One thing I did to my wacky worm was I was fishing June bug as well. I put a little glass rattle in it, just thinking, the water is nasty up here, so maybe that'll help give it some noise and vibration. So what ended that, whether it helped or not, I don't know, but picked off a couple fish here and there on day one. I only culled like once or twice after I caught my limit in the afternoon, but overall day one's pretty slow. For day two, a little bit of a different story. I found myself pretty much alone on that same spot. It took me a little bit longer to get there because the wind was really kicking up, pushing, against me. So started fishing where I normally start. Crappie boat came in probably about 50 yards in front of me, and I was like, well, kind of threw a wrench in my pattern. So I decided to go across the cove. Seeing what this guy was going to do, he decided to just stay there. So then I went ahead and just kind of went towards the back. I didn't fish this far back on day one because Micah was there. So I kind of just skipped it day one. But day two, it was like a 20-yard stretch, maybe 30-yard stretch. It was like fish after fish after fish. I think they were spawning. All my fish had red tails. Immediately, as soon as I threw a wacky worm, they would grab it, swim off with it, and it was just like insane. So I think I had 79 and a half or so within the first hour and a half. It was pretty intense. And like Chad said, my bite was pretty similar. It was like that brown dead grass. It was on the banks of the water with just like scattered bushes around, not choked up too heavy. So that's where I caught most of my fish, and just kind of fished the same stuff, cold a couple times, and yeah, that was it. It was pretty killer day 2.
That's awesome. Going in there, after day 1, you were in 11th place. Did you expect to find them better there on day 2, or what made you go back to that spot? Just familiarity?
Familiarity. I don't know a lot of other areas on the lake. Day 1, I did miss like a few fish. I had some that was swimming off of my bait, and I just did not get a good hook set. There was a couple of those hook sets where the fish felt pretty heavy. I just couldn't get them to stick. So I knew that I probably left some fish out there. Didn't know the quality or the size or anything, but I knew that there was still some there. So I decided to just go back day 2. I knew probably I wouldn't see very many people there after the day 1 turnout. So just kind of fish history. Went back. Day 1, I covered way more water than I did day 2. Day 2, I just kind of fished where I knew I got my bites on day 1, and that's pretty much all I stuck with.
Well, good deal. Do you think that because I believe the full moon was on the 1st, do you believe that the night of the full moon caused them to slide up and get onto bed, and they might have been pre-spawn day 1, like late pre-spawn, ready to go?
Yeah, definitely. Whether it was the moon or whatever it was, like, yeah, I don't think that they were necessarily that shallow day 1. Otherwise, I probably would have caught them. Because I feel like day 1, most of my bites were probably 3, 4, 5 feet away from the bank. Day 2 was right on the dirt, pretty much. So something pushed them up. Whether it was a moon or not, maybe, I don't know, but they were ready. Like, they were bloody and they were ready to eat.
Well, that's awesome. There, I kind of had a similar experience for myself, catching a lot of little fish, but I was thinking something of the same effect. But were you doing the glass rattle thing on day 2 as well, or did that stop?
Yeah, I went ahead and followed through with it on day 2. Day 1, I caught a couple on a black and blue jig, but I really didn't fool around with it too much on day 2. I think I experimented with the fluke for a little bit. I left probably, I don't know, 4 of my rods back in the truck, and I just kind of went a little bit more simple. I knew that I wasn't going to use them. I knew what I wanted to use. And a wacky worm was just it. I really didn't put it down at all on day 2. And yeah, the rattle was, whether it was key or not, I feel like it probably helped with, because as soon as it hit the water, you could go down like a couple inches, you don't see it. So I feel like the noise probably helps.
Absolutely. Why change it if it's working?
Yeah.
You said that you'd fish this tournament like 5 different times now.
Right. Yeah,
Oh,
I've had good history. I've had a 13th place, and then the next year I had a 6th place. Last year was terrible, and then this year 2nd. So I've had good history. All of those finishes are in the same area, which is why I typically just go back to the same ramp every year. So that's also part of my reasonings, I guess.
yeah, I hear you there. Have you fished? You haven't fished anywhere else on the lake, you say?
I have last year, because I don't think I posted a limit day 1. I just went ahead and went out fishing day 2. I just went somewhere else. Fished a completely different area last year, and then I think my first year here, just because I didn't know, I fished probably that same ramp that Chad's talking about, where there's 40 people. I think I've fished there before, if it's the same place. Just a big lot. Figure there's a lot of people there. So other than those couple places, yeah, I just fish the same area every year.
Well, good deal, man. That's pretty awesome, and congrats on your second place finish. That's pretty impressive. It was definitely a tough couple of days of fishing. Um, we'll go ahead and move on to our winner here. Kolt Volker with the sticks out of Nebraska. First place with 163.75 inches over both days. 85 and a quarter on day one, which was the second best day out of anybody in the field. Followed up with 78 and a half on day two. Was enough to do it. So why don't you tell us about your event, Colt?
Yeah, so I showed up. I got down there about Wednesday afternoon. I basically drove around to about 5 or 6 different launches just to check them out. I didn't plan on fishing, just to kind of get a lay of the land. I had heard from people that fished Wednesday how dirty the water was and how tough it was, but just trying to see if I could find anything cleaner or whatever, and it all looked the same from what I saw. So Thursday I launched at a spot that I've missed one All American, so I've been down. I think this was my 5th time, I think, 5th or 6th time. But so I've kind of fished different areas every time, trying to find something. I haven't honestly had a good track record out there. I think I've maybe been 1 or 2 days where I've caught a limit out of the times I've been down there. Maybe not that bad, but not a very good relationship with that lake, to be honest with you. So Thursday I pre-fished the spot that I just found on the map, went to. I fished for 8 hours, caught one. I caught a really nice one, but I caught one fish. Yeah, one bite real early. Day one, I picked an area that I had pre-fished a few years before that, just out of blind luck, basically, on that. So started in a cut there. There was like 5 or 6 other guys there. They all took off. I don't have a motor, so I'm perfectly fine with the guys that have motors that take off and they leave me, the area around the ramp, and I'm perfectly fine with it. So I basically found them in the far backs of the coves, the small coves, the bigger ones, as far back as you could get. With it being 10 foot high, it actually created more coves than what Google Maps shows on there. But I found them in the backs, right up against the bank. I was catching them on a chatterbait and then a Texas rig, like craw, basically. So the first day I caught a 17, like right off the bat. I missed a couple that were right up against the bank, kind of cued me into that piece of it. Went and found, I was basically flipping into just the junk, like the trees, the barks, just the brown muck. And actually I found one area, I actually caught like 3 fish out of one area, like a 19 and a 15 and a 16 maybe, but I caught 3 there within about 20 minutes, just in about a 20-yard stretch of muck, essentially. Then basically I just kept finding that same thing. I had a limit like around 11:30 or so on day one. I had, I think, at least 112. I had to coal, and I told myself to coal that I should be having a pretty good day, based on I was in a house with about 5 other guys, and the night before they were talking about how crappy it was. So I figured if I caught a limit, that was really my goal day one, just catch a limit and see how it goes, right? So just going down a bank, throwing a chatterbait, just covering water, basically, at the end. And at 150 is when that 21 and a half bit, and I set the hook, it jumped out of the water, and I was like, oh my God, that thing is gigantic, So got it in the boat. I looked at the clock, it was 1:54, and I told myself, calm down, you got 6 minutes, get a picture, and you'll be good to go, So, but yeah, that thing, that was incredible. It was definitely spawning. It bled all over my board, tail, and everything. Then day 2, went back to the same spot. I think I was the only one in our house that caught a limit that day. So I might have told myself, might as well just go back. There's fish there, had some other bites that I'd missed too, but I think that was my only call that day, I believe, maybe one other one. But day 2, go back, basically did the same route, started in the same spot, hit the other spots, did that. Day 2, my bite was a little tougher. I didn't catch a limit till about 12:30, and I had 2 12s. And after I caught my fifth fish was another 12, and I told myself I got to call that 12 to have any shot whatsoever at this thing. So at about 1 o'clock, I went back to where I started. Threw it right up on the bank under an overhang tree and caught an 18 with an hour left, which was that 6-inch Kolt, which essentially won the tournament for me at that point, which I didn't know. I honestly figured Jared would put up another 80 and I'd need at least 80, so I mean, that's, yeah, the 21 in the last 10 minutes and then 18 in the last hour of day 2 is pretty incredible.
Absolutely. That was going to be a question that I had for you. Last year's champion, the local on the lake,
Yeah.
The guy that everybody kind of expects to go out there and do it, was right on your tail after day 1, and went out there and held him off. So
yeah, like I said, I knew I would have put money on that he was going to have another 80 inches. And when we were up on stage and standing next to him, he's like, "How'd you do?" And I said, I can't remember what I have, 75, 76 the second day. And he's like, "Oh, you got this." And I was like, "What'd you do?" And he's like, "I didn't catch a limit." I'm like, "Oh." It's a little relief, but
that was something that I didn't even mention, but there was, I know Jared and also I think Lance Burris, they both came in and only had 4 fish the second day. Either one of them, if they would have just had a 12-incher, I wouldn't have been on the podium. And, like Jared, he said twice he had 12, 13 inchers that he was like swinging in the boat and they just came off, so it's like, it very easily could have worked out where I would have been dropped down several places, but it was just so tough that all it took was like losing 1 fish at the boat and you don't get a limit.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And if those 2 guys aren't filling limits, it's a difficult, very difficult couple of
Absolutely.
days. So
I don't
So
even
you've had
remember,
a
but wasn't there like around 40 people or something like that didn't catch a fish like all
something like
weekend?
that.
Like,
Yeah.
or at least one that was 12 inches.
right.
It was like, gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, very tough. Tougher than it was even last year, I think. And last year was pretty tough, at least for me. You said that you've been to that lake 5 or maybe 6 times, and you'd only pre-fished that area once. So, or that's the way it sounded, at least.
Yeah.
So, do you think that that experience played into this very much, or was it just kind of reading the conditions, stumbling on them?
Yeah.
How would you describe that?
So one of the guys that was in the house had fished that area a couple years ago and put up a really good limit day 1. So he's like, he wasn't going there, and he's like, what? He's like, if you don't have anywhere you think you want to go, just go over there. He goes, I know that I've put up a good number there. So I was like, all right. So yeah, I mean, it was so tough. I think, at the end of the day, it's just I happen to be in the right spot at the right time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I bet he was kicking himself after he put up
He
85
actually,
and a quarter after he was that.
yeah, the area he went to last year and actually did pretty good. So, and there's another guy in his area that they launched, but they were both from Nebraska, but the other guy caught like a 20-incher in front of him, like right away, and he's like, so he knew they were in there. He went back to the second day and actually put up a fairly decent limit. So
After having that really kind of a good lead after day one, do you think you could go out and hold on to it, or did you think that maybe you burned up fish, or I guess did you go into day two with as much confidence as you maybe should have?
No. I mean, again, it was one of those things that at that lake, if you put up a limit, I mean, if you look back at the years, I mean, a limit goes a pretty good way. So I had no expectations day two. I said if my 21 and a half holds on to the overall big bass, then I'd be good with it at the end of the day. So, yeah, I had no expectations day two, and it took me forever to get that fifth fish. So it was dwindling. My confidence was dwindling as the day goes on, the longer it went. So, but I got done. When I got back to the awards and and I was like, I had no confidence that I was gonna win it. I figured I needed another 80-inch, at least 80 inches, to have it, to have the shot. So I was surprised.
Yeah, yeah. Um, with that, the separation there at the top is pretty wild. Uh, 5 inches between first and second of I think I see here, and then 6 inches between second and third, and I think Chad had fourth by another 6 inches or a margin very close to that. So it was there was some good separation at the top, but I think a lot of this field was pretty stacked close together. Um, but that's awesome coming down and doing that. And I forgot to mention I'm pretty sure you won the big bass, and I know you won day one big bass. Is that correct? Overall big bass as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the team
And the team,
championship
I was gonna
on that.
say, don't forget about the team.
Yeah. Uh a bunch of the Nebraska guys up there at the top, and I believe the team championship went in order of you three here. The Sticks won first, Natural State Kayak Anglers won second, and Moyak won third, I believe. So congrats to all you guys on that. Um, if anybody has anything for anybody else, I'm about wrapped up here. Other than congratulations and thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. No problem.
For sure. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations, guys. I was honestly glad to see Nebraska take the team title. It's been kind of between Missouri and Arkansas for a while, and we kind of sucked it up this year. But it's good to see it kind of move around to different states, and congrats to you guys for winning that.
Yeah, thanks. We were sitting at the table and we didn't think we had any shot at it, to be honest with you. We weren't even paying attention to it after day one. But yeah, it's surprising. We're happy. I'm actually one of the directors for the Sticks, so it's kind of even better. But yeah, we were pretty pumped.
Marty, when we were on the stage, Marty, I can see in his eyes, he was doing math in his
I
eyes.
bet.
And he was looking at us and like trying to figure out who had what. Like that guy, I think he probably realized that y'all won pretty like before you guys got announced.
I'm pretty sure he's probably the only one in the room that knew where everybody stood after day one.
Yeah,
So,
that was funny. Congrats.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
good, healthy competition. We definitely
Yeah.
like to, although we don't like to lose. It's good to see other clubs, up there. So
Yeah, we've been close, so I'm glad to.
I was just glad Arkansas didn't win.
I'm just glad that we beat Moyak.
I mean, as many people as Moyak has in that tournament, just to beat him is good.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, Adrian, do you have anything for anybody before we let them go?
Oh yeah, if I could just get like maybe one thing from all three of you guys that maybe you took out of day two or going into day two mentally that separated you guys from the rest of the field. I know, speaking for myself, I had I think a little over 70 inches going into day two, and then at like 10 o'clock on day two when I didn't have a fish, mentally I just crumbled. I just wasn't there. So what, anything that you guys could give somebody some advice on that would help them on those 2 days, because man, they're tough for me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. There was a Hobie back when Hobie had the BOS series. There was an event up in La Crosse, and I was leading day one, and I totally crapped the bed day two. And I've never I still haven't lived it down from all the guys I fish with, you know. So I mean, after day one, we were at the house, and you know, you just, I mean, I don't know. I honestly went into day two with zero expectations. My whole goal going into day one was to catch a limit. My goal day two is to catch a limit, and they'll fall where they fall at that point. I just happened to, you know, throw the bait in front of the right size of fish, and you know, catching fish is it's not the easiest thing, but you know, the size is usually pretty lucky on the size piece of it. So
Yeah, I think it's always important to think about catching the first fish and then catching the second fish instead of thinking ahead about, you know, the what could be if you're, you know, if you catch five or whatever. It's always important for me to set, you know, the small goals incrementally of like before you start thinking about, you know, anything else. And that's always the first thing. The first fish I feel like is always a relief to everybody. At least it is to me. And then from there, just confidence, confidence, confidence. You can
and then when
catch
you catch
one,
that,
you can catch five.
and when you catch that fifth, it's such a relief. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you could have a 60-inch limit, but that fifth fish is such a relief.
In my videos all the time when I talk to myself, I'm always like, I don't care how big you were, Mr. Fish, but like I'm glad that I have you, whether it's 10-incher or whatever, like always relief to catch that fifth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always, I mean, it's a different mindset. Obviously, if you have a day one where you're able to feel like you have a chance to still like get a check, that kind of keeps you in it mentally. And it's kind of different if you like bomb on day one, then which I don't have as much experience with that. But I mean, if you bomb day one, then I think you got to just set a goal, like you got the hourly big bass, or you know, you want to go check out a new area that you've never been to, and you know, just try to learn something. But I know that for me, like if I have to, I feel like I do better if I'm not, I don't want to say it's not that I don't care, but I kind of like, I'm not really stressed about how I'm going to do. I kind of try to go out there and not really think about trying to get a check or whatever. I just want to go out and, like they said, I mean, I always think like if you can catch a fish an hour, that's great. But I always kind of try to keep a pace where I feel like I'm like, and like Tyler said, you catch that first one, and I was fortunate. I didn't catch them right off the bat, but I think probably within about an hour and a half of the beginning of the tournament, I caught my first fish. And then so that kind of like started the pace. And then I'm like, okay, well, if I can just catch another one in the next hour, then I'm on pace, you know? And that's just kind of how I try to look at it.
I mean, I always tell people, you know, fish your strengths. Don't go out there, you know, throwing big glide baits if you've never thrown one. You know what I mean? So you got to,
Yeah.
especially in a tournament, you got to fish with what you're comfortable with. You got confidence in, and is a strength. It's not a
Yep.
time to experiment.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. For me, I know like throwing that fluke. Yeah. I mean, it's one that I had caught fish on in the past. Um, and so I don't know, sometimes I just get a feeling. I'm like, oh, this bait's going to work, you know? And I mean, I always want to like be throwing a bait that I feel like, oh, I think this could work, you know? If you're not feeling that, then you're probably not throwing the right bait, but
And is it just me, or does a buzzbait not work on Truman?
oh, a buzzbait is great on Truman. I mean, it's really unfortunate because
It looks
we have
amazing for a buzzbait.
we have never like, I mean, just a couple weeks before this tournament, I mean, you could have caught 90 inches and you wouldn't have won the tournament, you know, each day. I mean, regularly bass boat tournaments take over 20 pounds to win. It's in mid 20s even, but this lake majority of the year fishes phenomenally. It's a great lake. It's got a lot of fish. It's got big fish. We just keep hitting it it started like when it was in the fall. That's like the toughest time. And so it got moved to the spring, thinking the spring was going to be better. Unfortunately, we just keep hitting it. Like the worst situation is like right after the water jumps up big time. And actually once the water stabilizes, even if it's high, it can be pretty good. But like right after the water jumps up a bunch, that's the worst time because they're still getting acclimated. And it seems like that's how we keep hitting it. And it's unfortunate, and I feel bad because people travel to come fish this tournament and it's always so tough. But the lake really has a lot of fish in it and it's got a lot of quality fish. We've just been it's unfortunate how we've been hitting it as far as timing with the conditions.
Yeah, every time I pre-fish, I try it for about an hour, and because it looks amazing for it, and nothing.
Oh yeah, it's a great buzzbait lake. And like buzzbaits, square bills are really big on Truman at times. And normally, like in the post pond, there's so much timber in the lake. And if the water level's kind of normal and stable, those fish suspend out in the trees, and you can pitch like brush hogs and big worms and pitch them around those trees and catch suspended fish. And the bites generally, it's a very fun bite, but it's too bad that it's been kind of tough during this tournament for us.
A few years ago, when it was, I guess the last time that it was low, I guess, in practice, I caught a fish. Like my goal in practice was, I'm just going to catch a fish on every lure I brought. So it was like, caught a fish on like 6 or 8 rods, and the last one I had left was a buzzbait. The rest of the day in practice, I spent probably 3 or 4 hours trying to catch one on a buzzbait, and until finally I got one, and it was like a 10-incher or something. But I was like, all right, practice is over. Like I did what I accomplished. So I do not think it is possible to catch fish on a buzzbait there, but once every. It is a fun lake though, regardless of the conditions. I think to be honest, that's kind of made it more fun for me.
Yeah, it's a perfect kayak fishing lake. There's so many different little launches, and if you want to get a spot, there's probably a launch close enough that you can get to.
Yep.
And where we have 100 or plus people, and we're not all lined up at 2 or 3 different launches. So.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's a big deal for that one is having that much water and that many launches. You're exactly right.
Yeah, unfortunately, there again, with the conditions we've had, the lake is fished a lot smaller than it really is. Under like normal stable conditions, a lot of those areas around the lake, up in the Grand Arm, the Osage Arm, up Tebow, there's just tons of really good areas that, unfortunately, with the like high muddy water, it kind of gets blown out in those areas. We're really tough fishing when we've been there.
I drove by it today. I was down in Springfield working, and I drove by it today, and it didn't even look higher than it was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of rain.
Yeah.
Did you guys get hit by that? This is off topic, but did you guys get hit by those storms up there in Lincoln, Kolt?
No, we had what was it? A couple nights ago, we spent a couple hours in the basement. We had tornado sirens going off every once in a while, but no. The actual tornadoes were about an hour west of where I live. So, but we've got like, what was it? Sunday, Monday was pretty rough with just all kinds of storms everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys are all safe up there and still in one piece. I know you guys have been hit pretty hard the past few years. So.
Yep.
But. Well, if anybody has anything else. Well, quick Colt, congrats on your first place finish for your guys' well, for this and for your guys' first trail series event of the season. I saw that whenever I was looking at your Tourney X profile.
Yep,
And
yep. I had 4 hours to fish because my nephew was graduating. I left everything I had from Truman tied on. So I didn't even change a bait.
worked out then.
Yeah,
And
I did.
and congrats to you, Chad, on the finish at the Ellie Bowman Memorial just last weekend. So
Yeah,
but
thank
other than
you.
that, yeah. Congrats on how all you guys did, and thank you so much for jumping on with us. This was a fun episode and pretty big tournament, and congrats to you guys again.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care, guys.
Yep, talk to you later.